it is translated. Concerning, take into consideration the different definitions of translation that we have dealt with previously in our last lecture. Maysa, we are going to start with Maysa.
Yes, Doctor. Doctor, this quote, Doctor, is clear and understandable. Doctor, and the translator conveyed the meaning in a clear and not literal way. A person trusts in God is
Yes.
great, and the more he gets tired, he becomes patient because he gets what he wants, and his patience is positive
Positive. Yes.
because he has confidence in the Lord.
Yes, very good, Maysa. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yes, Mawadda.
Yes, doctor. For
Yes.
me, it's a perfect quote. I really love it. It's a very good translation. It's full of meaning and emotion. I really in love with this quote. I'm talking about how the people should learn to be patient more and more.
Yes, good. What about translation? You've talked about the gist of the quote. What about translation? What is your opinion? How it is translated? Mawadda.
Yeah. Um, I think it's meaningful, yeah, full of meaning, which mean understandable.
Yes.
I can understand what you write.
Yes, good. Did the
Thank you.
translator do a good job?
Yeah, for me, yeah.
Okay, good. Hajar.
Yes, doctor. It is, in my opinion, it's very good quote. And as you said, see, doctor, it is talk about the patience. It's about patience and how God praises the patient people and get hope and optimism.
Yes.
In my opinion, yeah, in my opinion, the translation is very good because it carries the ideas of the original text
Yes.
and also or convey as possible the meaning of the original text, and it is easy to be understood. So, in my opinion, it is a good translation.
Yes, good. Is there another criterion for considering translation as being good? You've said that the ideas are clear, meaning is clear. What else? Very good, Hajar. It's okay. I'm asking the others. Fatma Ali.
Yes, Miss. For me, I think it is a literal translation.
Literal.
Translation.
You know the meaning of literal, Fatma.
دكتور means يعني
Listen, I'll write it.
ترجم حرفيا.
This is literal. 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 I'll write it in this one, this color. This is literal. You see it? Literal.
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Ladies, Fatma says that this is a literal translation. Along the previous lectures, when we talk about literal translation, do we consider it a good sign or a bad sign of translation?
No, it's a
Bad
bad
one?
sign,
No,
Doctor.
it is a bad one.
Bad.
Yes, a bad sign. So when you describe a translation as being literal, Fatma, you think that it is a very bad translation, in your opinion?
لا دكتور العفو مو قصدي بس قصدي يعني
Say it
الترجمة
in English.
حرفية.
حبيبتي, say it in English.
Yes, miss. I think it is
Fatma,
translate every single word. Not
when I describe a woman, oh, she has a very long face, she has a very thin body, she has different features. Am I praising this woman? لما اقول وجهها طويل وجسمها معصقصه ورايح انا قاعده امدحها وش قاعده اسوي بيها؟ جايه افلشها. مو بس لما اقول الله قوامها ايش قد حلو، نحيله نحيله ووجهها يعني شو نقول عليه الكوليكول مفصل هيك نحيل. Here, am I praising her or criticizing her?
praising her.
Amazing. الكلمات بنات, be careful with words. When you use a specific word, be careful with its meaning. So, Fatma and the rest. When you use the word literal, it means that you are criticizing the translation. You say that the translator did not take into consideration the hidden meaning of the text. The translator ruined the text. I'll give you an example. Later on, we'll finish the discussion of this quote. Fatma and the rest. Look at the text. She is a double-faced woman. Which color? No, you have to use a black because we are talking about something. So she is, if we translate it literally, خلينا نترجمها حرفيا شو تصير؟ هي شبيهة. If we translate this text literally, Fatma, yes, it is for you, Fatma. It is your turn.
Yes. Literal translation.
Yes,
Yes.
literal.
هي ذات وجه مزدوج.
That وجه مزدوج. Good. So Fatma translated literally. See, Fatma, you are translated as ذات وجه ممتلئ, because she said that she thought that double means that she has a fat face. This is the literal translation. Why it is literal? Because she imitated the text. She just replaced word. She thought that double in English means مزدوج. Face, وجه. Woman here, ذات وجه مزدوج. What about the adequate meaning of the text, Noor Amir?
دكتورة هي ذات وجهين.
ذات الوجهين. Good. What about, I need a more adequate meaning. Farah.
Miss, can we say that she is a hypocritical woman?
Hypocritical. What does it mean, hypocrite? Hypocrite.
Miss, it's okay to say it in Arabic?
Yes, we are translating. We are not speaking Arabic. We are translating from the source text, which is in English, into the target text, which is in Arabic. So,
Miss, we can say that هي امرأة منافقة.
very good. Hajar, what do you say?
Yes, doctor, the same. It has two faces, just like real face and the other face pretend to
Yes, very
other.
good.
Yeah.
Instead of saying here, I've told you before, Fatma translated, good for you, Fatma, translated literally. She repeated everything. She imitated. She said, here, double مزدوج, faced woman, وجه مزدوج. When instead of saying here, avoid using here أو هو, say إنها. Look at the semantic meaning, at the communicative meaning. المعنى المطلوب هنا إنها منافقة. See the difference between the two? A huge difference. A huge difference. So Fatma at the beginning thought that a literal translation is a good one. That's why she said this quote is translated what? Literally. I'm going to delete these notes to get back to our quote. So look at the text again. Is it a good translation, Fatma? What do you say after this clarification of the word literal? Is it a good translation?
Yes, Miss.
Why?
دكتورة بس أريد أفهمك الفكرة اللي أنا كانت ببالي.
Why don't you say it in English? But it's okay. Say it.
Yes, Miss. دكتور مثلا the lovers of God. يعني هم مترجميها هنا حرفيا عشاق الله.
What can you say?
يعني مثلا نقدر نقول المؤمنين أو
جائز هو يعني حب الله بس هو ما مؤمن كل الأمور. By the way, when we change a certain term, we have to put in mind that the whole meaning won't be changed. لما تغيرين أهم شيء عندك المعنى ثابت. فإذا قلنا مثلا حسب رأيك المؤمنين وعشاق الله أو أحباب الله أو الذين يحبون الله, is there any difference in meaning?
No, of course, but
So what
no.
about the whole paragraph, the whole text, the text as a whole?
Doctor,
Nergis,
I get the meaning from the whole text, but I feel it is a literal translation.
no, when you describe a text as being literal, just like the example. For instance, I'll say, this is, you see it?
Yes.
Is also. This is a double talk. Translated now.
كلام مزدوج.
هذا كلام مزدوج. What does it mean كلام مزدوج? What does it mean? يعني شنو مزدوج؟ ما فهمت. Does it make any sense? When you translate, you have to make yourself understandable. You have to ask yourself, does it make sense? Is it understood for the reader or the listener when someone hears this translation? Does it make any sense? إلها معنى؟ شنو يعني كلام مزدوج؟ ندى عدنان. Thank you,
Yes,
Fab.
doctor.
You have another suggestion?
Yes, كلام مخادع.
كلام مخادع. Good. What else? What do we have? What do we call it in Arabic?
Can I, Doctor?
Hajar?
No, Dr. Fatima.
Fatima, which Fatima? Let me see a minute. When I write, I can't see your faces. Fatima what?
Fatima
Fatima
Mohammed.
Mohammed. Yes, go ahead, حبيبتي.
Doctora, it means كلام المتناقض.
متناقض أو what do we call it in our Iraqi Arabic? مخادع. شو نسميه بالعراقي؟ عندنا فت كلمة احنا نطلقها على هالكلام. When we say something while we mean something else inside.
Miss Kenai?
Yes, Fatima?
نفاق?
No, it is not nifaq. Here we are talking about something external. فشي يطلع لي برا بالحقيقة احنا نقصد غير شيء. I see. أدرى جاسم.
دكتورة نقدر نقول يعني مثلا كلام فارغ؟
No. You know the meaning of the word? Yes, Noor Hussein.
Doctor, can we say رياء or something like this?
سامعين بمصطلح هذا لا سامحين بمصطلح سامعين مصطلح هذا كلام مبطن.
Yes, miss.
Yes, Doctor.
Here هذا كلام مخادع because she says something while she means something else. You see the difference between these two translations? This is the literal one. This is the literal. So we criticize it. We don't praise it. We praise this one because it is communicative. هاي تنقل لي معنى. لما أعرف إنه الكلام مخادع افتهمت هنا أنا بس مزدوج يعني شنو مزدوج? It is not clear. Right? Fatma, so don't say that when you find a translation that you label it as a good one. Don't say it is a literal. By the way, concerning the definitions that you have studied in the last lecture, we have taken many definitions by different translation scholars. How can you describe a specific translation according to certain definitions? Remember in the last lecture, we have concentrated on a number of scholars. Naide, for instance, Newmark, Hatem and Mason. Remember them?
Yes, Miss.
Yes. So can you analyze the translation according to these definitions? Remember Naide? I've told you that he presented one of the most important definitions of translation. He said that the translation is the reproducing the effect of the original text in the target text, the effect of the source text in the target text. يعني أحاول أخلق التأثير الموجود بالنص الأصلي أخليه بالنص الهدف. So when you read this target text, do you find the same effect that is found in the source text which is written in English? تحسين بنفس التأثير؟
Yes, doctor.
Yes, doctor.
This is one. What about a Newmark? Remember the definition of a Newmark? A Newmark added something very important to his definition, although all of them almost stressing on the fact that in a translation, meaning is transferred from one language into another. A Newmark added some important element to the previous definitions. What is that element? Fatma Abdul Rasul.
Dr. Fatma Muhammad.
It's okay, I can't see your full name.
Okay. He focused on the intended, rendering meaning, which is means intended by the author.
Yes, by the author. Good. So he concentrating on the intention of the author, of the writer. شنو الانتنشن؟ What's the meaning of intention? القصد. يعني المؤلف شنو كان يقصد when he wrote his text, his or her text. Here we have a woman writer, Elif Shafak. You know her? She is a Turkish novelist.
Yes, doctor.
And this book is called, this is a novel, قواعد العشق الأربعون, The 40 Rules of Love. This is a very famous novel. Okay, so here, when we look at the original text, look, we have here the end result of a process. The end result of a process. If we translate it literally, if we don't pay attention to the intention of the author, شو راح يصير الترجمة؟ النتيجة النهائية للعملية. While here it is in Arabic, ثمار ما تسعى إليه. You see, translator was a very good one because he concentrated on the intention of the author. He has known what is meant, what is the intended meaning by the writer when she wrote this text. What else? Look at this text. The crescent moon to become full. How it is translated? Is there a difference in meaning? Any difference in meaning? أدراء؟
دكتورة إنه الهلال يحتاج وقت حتى يكتمل.
Yes, any difference in meaning here? In English we have a crescent moon. We have 3 words, the crescent moon. In Arabic it translated into how many? 1 word.
1, yes.
Right? To become full, if it is translated literally, and يصبح كاملا. In Arabic, what do we have? What do we call a full moon? شو نسميه القمر الكامل؟
بدر.
See, the translator is a very good one because he or she rendered meaning adequately and have taken the conventions of Arabic language into original. I'm going to ask you a last question. You've said that this is a good translation or a perfect translation. What is the condition to consider a specific translation as being good? What is your measure? How can you base your judgment? According to what? يعني شلون أقول هاي الترجمة جيدة؟ اعتماد على شنو? Is it something subjective, depends on your own opinion, or there are certain criteria? Hajar.
No, doctor, of course, there is a certain criteria. First of all, it carries the ideas of the original text,
Yes.
as its structural and cultural, and it has, of course, many criteria. For example, the good translation is easy to understood, and it convey as much as possible the meaning of the original text, and it has a lot of criteria.
That's good. Who else? Fatma, Muhammad?
Yes, doctor. I want just to add something else, which is the natural equivalent here.
Equivalent, good. So here, the translator has rendered a good equivalent of the original meaning of the source text. By the way, ladies, remember in our previous lectures, I've told you that if you want to measure a translation and say that it is a good one, there is a very nice criterion. I've told you that some people say that it is a good translation when they read the text, they don't feel it a translation. They feel that it is as if written in their own language. So suppose that I didn't give you the source text. Suppose that I've just told you to read this text. Do you think it a translation? Do you think it is a translation?
No,
Some
doctor.
of you, yes.
No,
Some of
doctor.
No.
Good. If I hide the name of the author, you will think that it is originally written in Arabic. So this is one of the criteria to judge a translation as being a good one, which is later on when I ask you how to know that this translation is good, you can depend on this condition, which is if you read a translation and you don't feel it a translation, you think that it is originally written in the target language, it means that the translator is a very good one. By the way, without any additions or omissions of the original meaning. Okay?
Okay, doctor.
Do you have any question? Now, let's share another file. We have finished with this quote. Hajar, yes.
Yes, doctor. And here in this quote, we have the writer has knowledge of the vocabulary, as we see, doctor, and has a good also has a good understanding of the text to be translated.
Yes, that's why she is one of the most important
Yes.
novelists in the world. I
Yes.
think most of you have read this book or some quotes of it. The 40 Rules of Love by Elif Shafak. By the way, she is a young novelist. Have you seen her? قارين هذا الكتاب؟ قارين عنه؟ سامعين؟
Yes,
هذا
doctor.
الرواية؟
Yes, doctor. We hear about it.
Yes, I'll show you. Just a minute. This is Elif Shafak. See? One of the famous روائية تركية لها العديد من المؤلفات باللغتين الإنجليزية والتركية. ترجمت أعمالها إلى أكثر من 25 لغة ومن ضمنها العربية. Okay?
Okay.
Now we are going to present another file to complete our lecture. In the previous lecture, we have taken different types of translation tools, right?
Yeah. Yes, doctor.
And we have taken different examples. Remember the example, the difference between economic and economical? Did we take this difference?
No, miss.
Yes, we have concentrated on the difference between historic and historical, if you remember. So if I ask you, for instance, how to translate هذا خبير اقتصادي. خبير, expert. So how to translate it? This is, yes, what is اقتصادي? When you check the word in a dictionary, اقتصادي, when you check the word اقتصادي in Arabic, in an Arabic English dictionary, you will find the word economic and economical. So which word you are going to use? كلمة اقتصادي بالعربية can be translated into two words in English. It is either economic or economical. And as I told you before, any translation, we don't translate words in isolation. ما عندي كلمات بعثرة. We have words within a relationship with other words, within a certain context. There is a general environment that controls the meaning of words in a specific text. فالكلمات أنا ما أخذها هيك كل من هي وحدها. It should be studied, it should be taken within a specific context. So, which word you are going to pick? Economic or economical? Are you going, let me, right here. I'll write here. هذا خبير اقتصادي. This is an economic or economical expert. Which one you are going to choose? Economic. Which word you are going to use? This one or that one? And why? Just a minute. Let me see who is raising hand. Nur Saad.
Yes, doctor. Doctor, we use economical because economic means اقتصادي. اقتصاد.
Okay.
Yes.
Mariam Abdel Sattar. Thank you, Nur.
Thank you, doctor.
Yes, doctor.
You are raising your hand?
Yes.
Yes. Which word
doctor,
you are going to pick it from a dictionary?
The first sentence?
Yes, how to translate it? هذا خبير اقتصادي. Are you going to translate it as this is an economic expert or
Yes, doctor.
or this is an economical expert, and why?
Doctor, this is an economical expert.
Economical? Ladies, when you don't know a specific meaning, you have to check a dictionary. When you've checked the dictionary, you found that there are two words meaning اقتصادي. In English, there are two words meaning اقتصادي, Hajar. So how can you dissolve this problem? How can you draw a distinction between economic and economical? Hajar, you are raising your hand, Habibti? Something wrong with your voice? So ladies, what's the difference? What's the difference? This example shows you that in a translation, we are not concerned with words. We are never concerned with words. Words are misleading unless they have certain relationships with each other. So, which one you are going to use, Nada Adnan? Economic or economical?
دكتور economic because economical يعني تعني مقتصد وليس خبير اقتصادي.
Okay, let's see. Hajar, and I'll say either good for you or bad for you. Wait for me, Nada. Hajar, what do you say?
No, doctor, I say this is an economic expert.
Why?
Because it's according to the context, as you said, doctor.
So what's the difference between economic and economical? Good for you, Neda. Very good, Neda. Neda said that. By the way, ladies, you hear me? You hear me clearly?
Yes, yes, doctor.
Yes, doctor.
There's a huge difference between economic and economical. When we talk about a specific person, an expert, as being economic person, it means that this one works in the field of business, trade, industry, money، يعمل بمجال التجارة والأعمال، فإذا هو مختص بالاقتصاد. He is concerned with the economy، بعلم الاقتصاد. But when I describe a certain man or woman of being economical, it means that he or she are saving money. They don't waste their money. ما يبذرون، مقتصد. If I say this is an economical car, what does it mean here? Does it mean that this car works in the business field؟ السيارة تعمل بحقل الاقتصاد؟ لو شنو معناها؟
سيارة اقتصادية.
يعني شنو اقتصادية؟
تشيب يعني.
ما تصرف بنزين.
Very good. ما تصرف بنزين. Who says it? Yes, Mariam. Good for you. So it saves fuel. هي إذا توفر لي بالبنزين. لاحظتوا الفرق بنات؟ See the difference in the translation. It is very dangerous to concentrate on the apparent meaning, on the external meaning. لا تقشمرج المعنى الظاهري. You have to look for the context. You have to check a dictionary more than once. Sometimes words by themselves are misleading. تقشمرج، تضيعش، تاخذت منها وتتهج. You have to be careful. Sometimes when you don't know a specific term for sure, you have to check it in a dictionary. That's why you've made this mistake. لما أوصف سيارة أقول هذه سيارة اقتصادية. So this is an economical car because it saves the fuel. Don't waste too much fuel. ما تصرف بنزين هواي. ما تصرف وقود. Now, did you recognize the difference between economic and economical?
Yes, doctor.
So, we have taken different types of translation. So if I ask you, we have been dealing with which type of translation? Is it written or what?
Oral, doctor?
Now, is this text oral?
Yes, we can written.
It is written, good. So if I read it here, if I read it economic, it is relating to the money. يعني the money, the field of money، حقل الأموال والأعمال والتجارة والاقتصاد. Look, the president's economic programs are full of contradictions. برامج الرئيس الاقتصادية ايش بيها؟ مليئة بالتناقضات، كلها تناقضات. Look at the other meaning of economical. شنو معناها؟ معناها efficient، شاطر، مقتصد، thrifty. Working to work is always economical. المشي للدوام، أن تمشي للعمل، هذا أمر اقتصادي يدل على أنك مقتصد. Why? Because it saves money. توفر بها فلوس. Here, I'm translating from what? From a written text. Okay? Ladies.
Okay.
ما كان اليوم خيه على غير العادة.
Yes, doctor. Yes, with you.
Yes, doctor, with you.
Look, ladies, here I have a written text. This is what? Is it an oral text?
No.
Is it
No,
oral?
it's written.
It is written.
No, it's written.
Text. This is the source text. It is written. And this is the target text. It is also written. So we are dealing here with the written text. Now, this is what? Written or oral?
Written.
Written. But when I translated, شلون ترجمته؟ ايش قلت اني؟ قلت برامج الرئيس الاقتصادية كلها تناقضات. Here, the source text is written, right?
Yes.
Yes, miss.
Yes,
What about the target text?
It's
Is it
oral.
written? Very
Oral.
good.
It's become
Very
oral.
good. Very good. All of you, you are great. So I've translated a written text into an oral text. There is a specific term for such kind or for such type of translation. Do you know the type of translation we are dealing with right now? شو يسموه هذا النوع من الترجمة؟ I know that you don't come across it, so I'm going to tell you about it. In a translation in general, we have two types. It's either oral. Suppose that these two boys are chatting together. One of them is a British, he says hello, and the other is a French, he says bonjour. So if they don't know how to communicate, there should be a translator in between. راح يقول له يابا هذا يقول لك صباح الخير بلغته يقول له هلا هلا تعال تريق. Okay, هذا العراقي رأسا يعزمه. So here the translator is translating orally. Here we have a written. These are different types of oral translation. Later on, I'll show you the difference between this and this. Here, we have taken different types of written translation. شنو عندنا written؟ مثل إيش؟ Look at this book. You see it? Recitation of the Noble Quran. Yes, recitation of the Noble Quran with its translation of the meanings in the English language. شنو هو recitation يعني؟ recitation تعني تلاوة القرآن الكريم. By the way, you see the word Noble Quran? In English, they call the Quran the Holy Quran. Arab scholars, they don't prefer this term. They say you have to say the glorious Quran. Whenever the Quran is mentioned, you have to say the glorious. يقولون لازم تقولون القرآن المجيد, the glorious Quran. Avoid using the Holy Quran. Why? Because we have the Holy Book. You know the Holy Book? You know the Holy Book?
Miss, you mean
الكتاب
الكتاب المقدس.
كتاب مقدس.
Yes, we mean the Bible, right?
Yes, doctor.
So in order to draw a distinction between the Holy Book and the Holy Quran, they preferred not using the term the Holy Quran. They prefer using the glorious Quran. كل ما يجيكم مصطلح القرآن بالإنجليزي, you have to say the glorious. Okay? So this book deals with the translation of Quran. So what do we call this type of translation? By the way, it is written. أنا قاعد نحكي على الترجمة التحريرية, written. What do we call such kind of text? It is a religious text, right? It is
Yes.
It is called religious translation. Since it deals with a religious text, it is a religious translation. Look at this picture. What do you see? What are these?
I think
They are
magazine.
what?
Newspaper.
Oh,
Magazine.
They are newspapers and magazines. So what do we call the type of translation that translate in newspapers? شو نسميها هاي الترجمة؟ فاطمة.
Doctor, maybe we call it legal translation?
No. It is journalistic. Fatma, mute yourself, Fatma. It is journalistic. Journal, from the word journal. الجورنال. سامعين مصريين؟
Yes, doctor.
يسمون الصحيفة الجورنال. It is in English, it is journal. So it is journalistic translation. Look at the third picture. The third picture. What do you see here? This is a balance.
Law, doctor.
Good. So here we are dealing with text about law. What do we call the type of translation that?
Legal
Yes?
translation, doctor? Legal?
Legal. Good. So
Yes.
yes, very good. Here we have legal translation. Can you give me an example of a legal translation? مثل شو تترجم هاي legal translation? Can you give me an example? احنا قلنا ترجمة دينية مثلا ترجمة القرآن الكريم. Translating the prophetic traditions الأحاديث النبوية الشريفة هاي كلها ترجمة دينية religious translation. ترجمة صحفية for instance which New York Times نترجم صحيفة New York Times. What about legal translation? Can you give me an example, Fatma? Suppose that you are going to travel abroad. Won't you translate your certificate? Sometimes you have to translate your birth certificate. Death, marriage, divorce, la samah Allah. What else? Your passport might be translated into English. Any contract, any legal contract, عقد إيجار, عقد شراء, all these are different types of legal text. Now you've known the meaning of a legal translation. It is related to texts that deal with law issues.
Doctor, we can see deal with the formal things.
Not only formal, مودة. كل الأشياء لها علاقة بالقانون. Just like it is related to courts, for instance. الهوية, your identity card, when it is translated, the text which is found in your ID is a legal text. يعني هسه من تفتحين الجواز هذا النص الموجود بالجواز تلقينه باللغة العادية؟
No.
هاي معلومات قانونية. عقد الشراء باع الطرف الأول للطرف الثاني العقار المرقم so and so. So this is a legal language. هاي لغة قانونية. Right? Sometimes when you open a medical book, كتاب له علاقة بالطب. It talks about the organs, anatomy, biology, so many different things, different sciences. So it is called what? A medical translation. Here in this picture, in this one, here, what do you see?
It's a literal.
It is a literary work. It is a literary work. So what do we call the translation that translate literally?
Literature translate.
Literary, it is literary translation. Yes, ترجمة أدبية. You have to differentiate between literal, the one that was chosen by Fatma. It is literal with AL, الحرفية. But when we translate literature, novels, stories, drama, etc., it is literary, just like this word. Look at it. It ends with AR, literary, أدبي. See, ladies, these are what? Different types of translation, of written translation. This book, or this newspaper, when it is translated from English, it will be translated also into a written text in Arabic. فهاي ترجمة تحريرية. بالأصل مكتوبة ولما نسويها نترجمها أيضا راح تكون مكتوبة. It is written translation. In this example, I've translated a written text into what? Into oral text. So, what do we call such kind of translation? شو نسميه? Sight translation. What's the meaning of sight?
منظورة.
طبعا تتكون على هاي المنظورة. لا. السايت هو النظر. حاسة النظر، حاسة البصر. But when it is used with sight translation as a term, الترجمة المنظورة. يعني شنو منظورة? It means that the translator, just like me a few minutes ago, the translator is looking at what? At a written text.
Source, yes.
At a written text in the source language. And he or she يسوي. What does it
translate in his mind, doctor? Translate in his mind.
And later on?
It will translated be, orally? Yes.
Good. Orally. Very good. Narjis and Farah. The translator gets a written text at hand or before a screen, read it in his mind, in his or her mind, translate it, and then produce an oral translation. I'll share with you a link to show you how it is processed, how it is practiced in real life. By the way, you prefer this method of teaching? You prefer sharing files and links?
Yes, miss. Yes, doctor, of course.
Let's share when we are going. This one. So let's choose a Japanese English interpreter training. By the way, ladies, we have been talking about translation from the first lecture up to now. We are talking about translation, translator, but because we are dealing with written translation. In different examples, I write a certain text in the source language and we translate it also as a written text, right? But when we deal with the oral translation, it is no longer called translation. It is called interpretation. Interpretation. And the one who translates is called what? Interpreter. Interpreter. واضح يا بنات؟
Yes,
Yes,
doctor.
See, this is site translation. Look at the translator here. You see my pointer? There is a woman sitting and holding what? She is holding a paper at hand, at both hands. This type of translation is called sight translation because, as you see, she is concentrating her sight. She is putting her sight on what? On the paper. She is reading a written text and translating orally. This girl, listen to her language. Here, she is speaking a Japanese language. What is the source language?
Doctor, English.
Very good. How did you know?
When I see the
title.
The paper, yes.
Yes, title. Very good. So, what about the target language? Which language is
Japanese.
the target one?
the Japanese.
The Japanese. See, this is sight translation. Listen. This is sight translation. Is it understood now?
Yes, doctor.
Yes, miss.
Okay. We'll take another example. Inside the translation, there is something tricky because it seems similar to the written translation, but in fact, it is oral. The difference is that the written text is produced as an oral text. Look at the other type of translation. It is called what? You see it?
Yes, doctor.
Yes, miss. Yes, doctor.
Yes. It is called what? Just a minute. Picture of your class. The second type of oral translation is called consecutive. What is consecutive? Consecutive translation means الترجمة التعاقبية. What does it mean تعاقبية? Or تتبعية. يعني شنو؟
Doctor, may I?
نرجس.
Yes, Dr. Mean, when someone speak orally, so I repeat her speech, but in another language.
Speech, you mean?
For example, when let us say our president, when he introduce her speech in Arabic, so the interpreter translated into English language. This is the meaning.
Good. Farah, what do you say? Why it is called تعاقبية or تتبعية? Is there something wrong with my connection or yours?
Miss, do you hear me now?
No, yes, now I hear you, but I didn't hear you before. Why it
Yes.
is called? Yes, Farah.
Yes, Miss, because I think she is following the one she is talking. For example, the one that she is talking in English, she is following her and translate
Good. She is
the
following
talk
her.
that or the speech that she. Yes.
Yes, she is talking after her. Wala, what do you say? Good for you, Farah.
Doctor, I think this translation for those who can see and hear the speech. Those don't.
No. We are talking, this is not sign. This is not sign language. هاي مو لغة الإشارات. Here we are talking about translation, Wala. We are concentration on our topic. We are not concerned with other types of communication. ما دا نحكي على وسائل الاتصال الأخرى. We are not talking about sign language. Sign language لغة الإشارات. نور سعد.
Doctor, when it's mean when translator translate the speech of the sentence after each speaker.
Yes, good. So
Yes,
the
doctor.
second type of translation is called consecutive translation. ترجمة تعاقبية أو تتبعية. التتبعية لأنها تتم بالتتابع. Someone speaks and waits for a while, and then the translator starts translating. Here, which one in this picture? Which one is the translator? The woman in black or in red?
In black, doctor. In the black, of course.
Farah. In the black.
Yes, Miss. The one she is wearing a black suit. It is the translator.
Yes. So when we say the woman in black, نترجمها المرأة التي ترتدي الملابس السوداء. In black, instead of saying in a black suit, it is understood.
Okay.
Thank you, Farah. Habibti.
Thank you.
So which one is the speaker? Raise hand. Another one. Nida Adnan.
Yes, doctor. The woman in red.
Nida.
Yes, doctor.
The woman in red. How did you know?
Because the speaker near to her mouth and she sees.
You mean the mic? Good.
Yes.
Good. Yaqeen. Good, Nida. Yaqeen. What do you say?
Yes, doctor.
Which one is this? Which one is the speaker?
Doctor, women of clothes of red.
No, the woman in red. In red.
Yes.
It means the woman who is wearing. Yes, the woman in red is the speaker. How did you know? Because she is speaking before the mic.
Speaking and presented. Yes.
So I'll share with you. Thank you, Yaqeen. I'll share with you another video to show how consecutive translation is done. Okay? By the way, it is one of the most difficult types of translation. This is not an easy one because the translator has to remember whatever the speaker says and render it into the target language. By the way, in this picture, the audience, which language uses? The speaker's language or the translator's language?
Doctor, may I?
مودة.
Doctor, of course, the translator language.
What?
You mean I mean the audience understood the speaker translator يعني I mean they understood the language of the translator.
Yes, good. It means that their language is different from the language of the speaker.
Yeah.
That's why they employed a translator. Good. Let's see this online. Let's see consecutive translation, how it is done. I may ask you, is it a simple task? I'm just explaining it. Is it a simple task in your opinion?
No, Doctor.
Or a difficult? Why?
Doctor, because the translator need to memorize or remember each word that the speaker says.
Yes, very good, Nargis. So is it possible for a man, يعني الإنسان, is it possible for a man to remember whatever is said by a speaker? For instance, sometimes when I say one sentence, it is possible to be remembered. But when I say about 50 sentences within 3 minutes, is it possible to remember all of them?
No, Doctor, it's difficult, of course.
Yes, it is very difficult, but that's why consecutive translators, interpreters, and simultaneous. You know the meaning of simultaneous? Interpreters, مترجمين الفوريين. They are very important translators because they exert great efforts during the process of translation, to the extent that when there is a certain conference, you know the meaning of conference?
مؤتمر.
Yes, when there is a certain particular conference, a simultaneous interpreter will be changed after what? After how long? After 15 minutes, they will change him or her. Why? Because the brain will get very tired of using memory. They will be very tired to the extent that I've asked a friend of mine, he is interpreter in conferences. He says that sometimes when translating for about 30 minutes, he starts repeating the source language of the speaker. Suppose that the translator is speaking Arabic, and instead of translating the text into English, he starts repeating the same text in Arabic. Or sometimes he forgets or don't remember anything. His brain gets very tired. That's why interpreters, especially simultaneous interpreters, will be replaced. يغيروهم كل ربع ساعة يغيرون مترجم الفوري لأنه كلش يتعب وذاكرته تتعب. So mute yourself, all of you ladies. So I'm going to share with you this link. You see it now?
Yes, Doctor.
Yes, Miss.
Yes. Look at the scene. In this scene, بعد المشهد, how many characters do we have?
3, Miss.
3. 2 important persons اللي هم منو?
Miss, there is a white screen. We don't see the characters.
We don't see.
Now.
Yes, Miss.
No. Yes, here we have 2 important persons, 2 important presidents. We have Al-Maliki and Obama. Okay, and the woman in between, who is it?
The translator?
The translator. You see, a translator plays a very important role in real life. She is sitting besides whom? Besides two
the 2 presidents, yes.
Yes, she is trying to listen to them. Remember, ladies, remember inside the translation? Inside the translation, the translator concentrates on a paper at hand. Here, pay attention to the translator. She is concentrating on a paper at hand or at something else. I'm going to turn it on. Listen carefully in order to know what goes on in the process of translation. This is a real scene of consecutive translation. Ready to listen?
Yes, doctor.
Yes, doctor.
Okay. I'm
I
going
discuss
to...
the meeting that I just had with Prime Minister Maliki. I just want to make a brief statement about Afghanistan. I had the opportunity to speak with President Karzai this morning, and I wanted to congratulate him on accepting the certification of the recent election. As we all know, this has been a very difficult time in Afghanistan to not only carry out an election under difficult circumstances where there were a whole host of security issues that had to be resolved, but also post-election, a lot of uncertainty. President Karzai, as well as
Ladies, does
Yes.
Obama give the translator a chance to translate?
No, miss.
No,
No.
doctor.
Yes. He does not give her a chance. He is talking for a long time. Look, here we have 50 seconds, and she is paying attention to the notes. Look.
that they have the interests of the Afghan people at heart, that this is a reflection of a commitment to rule of law and an insistence that the Afghan people's will should be done. And so I express the American people's appreciation for this step.
I'll pass it. Look, here
and there
we
is
have
a path
about 2 minutes,
in order
and he
to
is keeping
complete
on
this
talking.
election process.
Can you imagine the situation for the translator? She has to remember all of these information. It's a horrible situation indeed.
I want to give particular
Difficult
thanks
for her.
What?
Miss, it is difficult to remember all the speech that he said.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is a very difficult situation. Let's see when he will stop to give her the chance to translate.
And his team who've been working tirelessly throughout this process. I also want to commend Senator John Kerry, who was in the region traveling and ended up working extensively with Ambassador Eikenberry and was extraordinarily constructive.
I'll stop here
very helpful.
just for a while to take your attendance. Fatma Safa.
Yes,
Fatma
doctor.
Safa. Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Fatma Ali is here. Fatma Majid.
Yes, دكتورة موجودة.
Fatma Majid.
Yes, دكتورة.
Fatma Muhammad.
Yes, doctor.
Farah is here. Fayha. Where are you, Fayha? Absent?
Sorry, miss.
Doctor. Yes.
Miss,
doctor.
you didn't mention my name.
I know you, Farah Habibti.
Okay.
You have been participating from the very... She is here. Doctor.
Yes,
Say
doctor.
hello.
Yes, doctor, I'm here.
Yes. Liqa is here. Maryam Iskandar. Where is Maryam?
دكتورة مريم اسكندر
مريم
شفتها
اسكندر.
ساعة بالجروب ما عندها الكود يمكن مال الصف ما ادري شلون طالعة منه
هاي
بالغلط ما اعرف
مشكلتها.
والله.
بلغوها، هاي عندها مشكلة، عندها غيابات كلش هواية عندي. Next time she will get a warning. يعني معقولة صار لنا شهر ونص ولحد الآن ما تعرف الكود؟ شنو هذا؟ شلون قلتيها أصلاً؟ عيب تقولي هذا الكلام. لو خليتها سكتة أحسن. مريم عبد الستار. يعني العالم خلى التكنولوجيا ببيوتنا. واحنا ما بينا حال ندور على الباب وين. Mariam Abdel Sattar is here.
Yes, Doctor.
Mariam Abed. Yes, Mariam
Yes.
Abed is here. Mariam Majid.
Yes, Doctor.
Fatma Salim is absent. Also, she will get a warning. Fatma Shab.
نعم دكتورة.
Yes, welcome. Mawadda Hafid. Yes, she is here. Fatma Riyad.
Yes, doctor.
Fatma. Maysa Zamil.
Yes, دكتورة.
Maysa Muhammad is here.
Yes,
Nina.
doctor. Yes, doctor.
Yes. Nida Adnan is here.
Doctor.
Okay. Nergis is here. Where are Nergis? I've seen. Yes.
Yes, doctor.
Yes, good.
دكتورة ندى خالد ما ذات اسمي.
Nida Khalid. Yes, I've seen you. Seen your mic. Yes. Nisreen.
Yes, doctor.
Yes. Namarq.
نعم دكتورة.
Namarq.
نعم.
Nuha Razaq. Nuha. Absent. Yes. Yes. Nuha Ayed. She is
Yes,
here.
doctor.
Nawar. Nawar
Yes,
Abdulrahman.
miss. Yes, miss.
Right. Yes, thank you. Noor al-Huda is here. But you
Yes,
didn't
miss.
participate, Noor al-Huda, today. Noor Ibrahim.
Yes, miss, I'm here.
Yes, yes, thank you. Noor Hussein.
Yes, miss.
Noor Saad.
Yes, miss.
Yes. Noor Shakir.
Yes, miss.
Noor Amir.
Yes, miss.
Noor Abid.
Yes, miss.
Rajar is here.
Yes,
Hiba
doctor.
Adil.
Yes, doctor.
حبيبتي يلا, all of you are here. Wala Asad is here. No, Wala Asim.
Yes,
You
miss.
participated. Wala Asad. Where are you, Wala Asad?
Yes, doctor. I'm here.
Ah, you are Wala.
Yes.
دكتور أنا من الجمعة ذاتي اسمي
أنا ليش كل مرة أنسى اسمك أنا؟ ما موجود بالقائمة.
دكتورة النت ضعيف ما جاء اسمع.
منال جمعة. I've written your name. منال جمعة طعمة. It's not found in the list.
دكتور ما بعت اسمي.
ياسمين نور الهدى. I know you حبيبتي. ياسمين.
لا دكتورة لا.
Yes, doctor. I'm here.
دكتورة اسمي موجود. دكتورة اسمي موجود section D.
بس بعدين مهم ما موجود قريته ما موجود القائمة عندي. يقين عمار.
Yes, doctor.
يقين قاسم.
Yes, doctor.
دكتور مين ياسمين؟
جاسم.
Yes, doctor.
دكتورة كل المحاضرات أنا أدخل موجود اسمي.
لحظة. منال سوري. يس. منال كنتي ما موجودة. كنتي absent. هسه دخلتينا. راح أشيك الكلاس.
لا دكتورة داخل. لا دكتورة والله داخل من بداية المحاضرة.
راح أشيك الكلاس. راح أنزل الأكسل شيت.
يس تشيكي والله تلقين اسم. اي دكتورة
غيابات.
موجودة.
careful. غيابات هو. هسه أشيك وشو بنات الغياب والمشاركة كل everything is counted. Okay, let's go back to our video. Look at the poor translator. She is leaning over her notebook. Look.
So I think he deserves.
He has taken about 2 minutes and a half, and still a non-stop talk.
Continue to work with our ISAF partners as well as the Afghan government, however this election turns out, to ensure that we can move the Afghan that we can move Afghanistan towards peace and security and prosperity, and that the will of the Afghan people is ultimately done. So we are pleased with the steps that have been taken today, and we hope that we can build on this progress. I finally want to thank the incredible work of our U.S. military and the young men and women who are stationed in Afghanistan, who are doing so much to help bring about a more secure and prosperous and democratic Afghanistan. I am grateful to have the opportunity to see Prime Minister Maliki once again.
Look at the time. Wow.
We had a wide-ranging discussion about the continuing progress that Iraq is making. We have seen in the last several months a consolidation of a commitment to democratic politics inside of Iraq. We are very interested, both of us, in making sure that Iraq has an election law that is completed on time so that elections can take place on time in January. That is consistent with the transition that has been taking place, and I re-emphasize my commitment to Prime Minister Maliki that we will have our combat troops out of Iraq August of next year, and all of our troops out of Iraq by 2011. But we didn't just talk about military and security issues. What is wonderful about this trip is that it represents a transition in our bilateral relationship so that we are moving now to issue.
See, ladies, he is taking a very long time, about 5 minutes, and he is not stopping. He is still talking up to now without giving the translator any chance to translate. See how many minutes here?
Yes, doctor.
Includes not only Prime Minister Maliki, but business leaders from both the United States and Iraq. We've seen over the last several months progress being made
Very long talk.
Providing clarity on that I think all of us are confident we can now achieve. So thank you so much.
Look at the translation.
And I don't know if you, maybe we could translate the last part just about Iraq as opposed to Afghanistan. Just in case there's some.
أنا سعيد بأن ألتقي برئيس الوزراء العراقي المالكي معنا اليوم وتناولنا عددا من القضايا لا سيما النجاح التقدم.
Just a minute, ladies. Did you notice her? He has been talking for about 6 minutes and so, and then he says that we are going to skip the first part and concentrate on what relates to Iraq. See, it is a very long speech. Here, ladies, you've noticed, look at the translator, and I'm going to ask you a question, a last
الذي
question.
يستمر بإحرازه في العراق ونحن والتزامه من أجل مسار ديمقراطي في العراق ومن المهم.
What type of translation here? Is it a site translation? An example here? Manal, what do you say? What type of translation? We've said that there are 3 types of oral translation. This is an oral translation. What type of oral translation?
دكتور الفيديو مو واضح أبد ما سمعت منه شيء يعني يتقطع المقطع.
كله ما سمعتي منه شيء صار له ساعة يحكي أوباما.
إي دكتور يعني أبد يعني مو واضح. أبد والله.
Yaqeen Ammar, what do you say? What type of translation here?
Yes, Doctor, written translation?
Is it written? Are they writing here? Is there a written text?
دكتور I mean يعني ترجمة
ياسمين هادي ياسمين هادي, what do you say? Is it written?
Doctor, can I say site translation?
Yaqeen, you say it is site translation? What do you say, ladies? Is it site translation?
No, doctor.
Nargis, is it
Yes,
site
doctor.
translation? You are deceived
No,
by the paper. You are deceived
No,
by the
doctor.
paper at her hands.
Yes, it is a consecutive translation.
Yeah.
What's the difference? How could you say that it is a consecutive while she holds the paper? That's why your colleagues are deceived by her. What's the difference between site and consecutive concerning the paper at hand. We've seen in the last example about the Japanese translator. She was also looking at a paper. Are we here having the same situation in translation?
No, doctor,
No,
because
miss.
she is writing.
Yes, yes, Hajar, good.
Yes, doctor,
Farah.
she is writing. Yeah.
Yes, Hajar, you've said she is writing. It means
Yes.
that she didn't get a written text. She is writing her own
Yes,
text.
doctor.
What about she was writing what?
Miss,
Their speech,
the
their speech.
Farah, what do you say?
Miss, she is writing the speech of Obama.
Yes, she is taking notes about the speech because it is a very, very, very long speech. As I told you before, when you talk about more than 1 minute, your mind won't be able to remember all these information. That's why she was taking a very fast notes in order not to forget. By the way, to differentiate between a consecutive translation and sighted translation, the paper contains what? The source language or the target language?
The source?
Very good. In sighted translation, the translator looks at a source text, but in consecutive translation, the translator here is reading her own. She is reading the target text.
Yes.
So here we have consecutive translation. Did you see? It is a very difficult and hard process. With this example, we end our lecture for today. Thank you very much for all of you ladies for participating. دكتورة شو أنا ما موجودة. دكتورة شو ما صحتي اسمي أكيد.
دكتورة أي دكتورة وانتظرت الفيديو يخلص. أنا اسمي ما ذعتي.
عاد وين كنت عيني؟
مو الفيديو ممكن تحكي فما حبيت أقاطعش.
يعني أنا قرأت اسمك أنت ما موجودة.
لا ما قرأتي اسمي. أنا موجودة من بداية المحاضرة.
Okay, I'll check it later, Hadir.
Okay.
Okay, ladies, do you have any question before leaving?
No, doctor, thank you so much.
No, doctor, thank you.
Thank you for all of you. Those who participate, you make the lecture great one, to be honest. And those who just listen, thank you very much. And I don't accept those who mute yourselves. Thank you very much, ladies. Have a nice holiday.
Thank you so much, doctor. Have a nice day. See you.
Bye. See you next week. All of you.